won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Pregaming here on the Sports Money Network. You guys, appreciate you being here on Tuesday. Although, it is not March the 9th, it is March the 10th. That's going to be some technical difficulties because we've got a power-packed agenda of games to get to this evening. So I've got to quickly update those. Bear with me. Not sure what happened. I'm not sure, but it don't matter because what did happen last night is we fired off on the Win Club, Winnable, with a monster day. You know, I was saying how I had to have a bounce back. You know, the old bounce back day. We talk about it in the NBA. We talk about it in the NHL. Well, let's talk about it from a sports betting perspective, and I skinnied it down. 1-1 in the NBA. 1-0 was a free play I gave out in college basketball yesterday, and then 4-0 in the NHL, plus 6 units in the NHL. 4-0 plus 6 units. And it felt darn good, man. Just good to get back in, you know, just picking the spots you like and going after them, cashing, doing whatever it is that we had to do with them. So very excited about the position. I am trying to get this updated here, so bear with me. See, I think it's going to do it again. Man, fuck. What in the heck is going on? And of course, I just downloaded them all at one shot to try to make it easier for us. Make it easier for me. That's what I get. That's what I get. Please hold. Well, I try to fix this thing. In fact, what I'll do while I try to fix this is I'll give you a little commercial. Hey, it's Mikey Money here, letting you know the Sports Money team is live on Winnable. Come check out our best bets.
For a low monthly cost, you get the very best bets delivered instantly to your phone by text the moment they're locked in. No delays, no missed lines, just the smartest plays at the best odds.
We do the work, you get the plays, and they're sent right to your phone right when we drop them.
Don't wait, don't guess, don't miss the line. Join the winning team today and start cashing tickets with Winnable.
When you're a consummate professional like I am, you got to have a video on standby so that when you do drop the ball, you can pick it back up and run it right into the fucking end zone. So let's see. I think this one goes here. All right, let's take a look. Let's see how we did. There we go. There we go. Let's go. I'm a little sleepy. I spent a lot of time driving across Western New York today, so trying to wake it up a little bit here, and that definitely was a little kick in the face. We got college hoops. We'll start off with college hoops, Mercyhurst and LIU, Wake Forest and Virginia Tech, Santa Clara, Gonzaga. Interesting little story about that game, and then Idaho and Eastern Washington. I'm going to give you guys a 4-pack of action tonight. We'll go to the NHL. I've got 3 plays. I'm going to go 2 more plays. I got Columbus and the Lightning, the Red Wings and the Panthers, the Flames and the Rangers. I think I'll add 2 more plays. At least 2 more plays, I think. We'll have a 5-pack. What at player props? Hey, we got Tommy Wilson goal yesterday, plus 215, I think it was. Now our player prop in the NBA, I don't believe that hit. No, it didn't. It was Braun. Christian Braun. Christian Braun did not get there for us. Christian Braun had 4 fucking points. We needed him to have 12 and a half. He got 4. So he did not get there for us. But we went 1-1. We gained a unit. in the player prop segment. So we're going to bring it back. I got 1-1, one in the NHL, one in the NBA. I'll fire off 3 NBA games for you guys. Pistons, Nets, Suns, and Bucks. T-Wolves and the Lakers. And we'll wrap her up with the sharp, respected betting report. Seems like a lot of you guys enjoyed the SRB segment. So we'll keep her going. We'll see how it does. Now, it didn't have the finest of days yesterday. In fact, well, you know what? It went 2-1 in the college hoops. 1-1, and I guess they didn't do terrible. 1-1 in the NHL, and then 0-2 in the NBA. 0-2. It had the Knicks and the Memphis under. Memphis went over, and the Knicks game lost. So, surprise, surprise. The Knicks blew it again. So that's the way we're going to get after it today, you guys. Appreciate you all for being here. Thank you for joining us on this journey as we try to build these bankrolls. I was just busy pre-flop. Pre-flop. They maxed me because they don't want to give out more than $250,000 over on DraftKings. But I was just clicking a goal scorer prop. I ran 1 per game. I'll give it to you guys here. I'm going to go Macklin Salabrini, Brian Rust, Jake Gunsel, Morgan Geike, Alex DeBrinket, Matthias Michelli, Victor Olofsson, Bo Horvat, Jack Eichel, Kirill Kaprizov, Mark Scheifele, and Leon Draisaitl to close it off there. 12 picks, 73 cents to pay $249,500. I like to mess around. That's what I was doing. I'll share it with you guys. You know, there's going to be the one time it hits, and then I'm going to be able to come back and be like, oh my God, I gave out a $250,000 winner. So hopefully that's tonight. But shout out. Let's go, you guys. Appreciate y'all getting after it with me. We kind of fizzled out a little bit here yesterday, show-wise. We had a terrific day over on the Win Club. We dropped about 1.5 units over here. We did cash the Monmouth under. We did cash the Tommy Wilson goal. We did not cash the Christian Braun over. We did cash the Denver plus 6.5. We did not cash the Grizzlies. We did not cash the first half in Northern Colorado. We did not cash Utah. Sharp respected betting information, regulation play. They go to overtime. Didn't matter. They lost. Vancouver, Ottawa. Vancouver continues to struggle all across the board. The Knicks lost to the Clippers, but we finished off with a -2.5 winner. Eastern Washington over Weber State. So that's the way we're going to get after it today here. As you can see, and if you guys are new here, what we do here is I line up my thoughts and opinions, and you'll go right down the top. So we bucket them. You'll see college basketball, then you'll see the NHL, then you'll see some new segments like the player props, bought some new tools, taking them for a test drive, and they're cashing. So I tested them out. I thought, you know what, let's baseline these things and see if they're going to pay for us. They did. They are. And so I'm going to share them with you. Then we have the NBA, and then I go into the sharp respected betting information tracked across the, I think 14 books, 14 legal books, 13 legal, something like that on the SRB side of things. So let's go. If you guys haven't done so already, smash that like button. Leave a comment too. Post in the comment section here in show. But if you guys are watching the replay, your comments are very much appreciated. And several of you guys came to the table last night. So I want to say thank you for doing that. Does mean a lot when you see these comments come back and forth. Some of you guys sharing why you like your play. Some of you guys sharing play. Some of you guys sharing what you like about the show. Some of you guys saying the Celtics smash, whatever. It doesn't matter. All the comments are graded equally. So want to thank you for doing that. If you haven't, as I mentioned, smash the thumbs up button and let's get to work. All righty. Also dehydrated today, but it might be a drink at night. We'll see. I got some things I got to do here before the weather gets cold again. Shout out to Nicholas Handy. You got the old saber swords out there. Andrew K says USA by mercy rule. Have mercy. Andrew K says Roman Anthony put one in the second deck last game. When you see Judge and the Phillies home run hitters applaud like that, you know he's special. There's my guy, Big Crypto. Says you were right on the Capitals. Trying to tell you about the Nets in Santa Clara. Yeah, I think we split yesterday. I was right on the Kings yesterday, too, for all those that were on the opposite side. That was a fun and exciting. And And the parlay cash. I told you guys the last play, I had that player prop, the fuck around and find out player prop spot there that cashed. So that was nice. But it's all fun, big crypto. You know the deal, man. We're going to win some, we're going to lose some, but we're going to do it together, my guy. 9 Legacy's got the paid in full parlay of the day. He's got the Sabres. He's got the Penguins. He's got Montana, Eastern Washington, all on the spreads. Best bet, the Trailblazers, plus 3.5, and the Bucks money line for the paid in full 9 Legacy parlay. Shout out to Robert McCormick. And I am ready to get going with you guys here today. It is Wednesday, as some would say. And I'm feeling like it here. Feeling like I want to get after it. I started my day off with a little bit of a thumping. I bounced back here, but I was driving home, so I didn't get a chance to share it. So too bad as it goes here. But it's all good. It's all good. Let me get my shit straightened out here. You know what the problem is? My eyes are burning right now. Burning out of my skull. Mercyhurst and LIU are going to battle it out. And, you know, it's kind of a gut play, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm allowed to do some of those in this process here. I feel like some of these dogs, I mean, you know, we're seeing some live spots. We're seeing some opportunities where they do come out and bark. And, you know, sometimes the low number, wrong team favored situation. Now, I'm not saying that be the case here with the old Mercyhurst side of things, but I do like me some Lakers at 5.5 points. Now, here's the thing. We've got correlated line movement. The market coming in heavily on the Lakers, 66% of the bets and 80% of the cash. I think the question is who's going to dictate the pace in this game. That's kind of the way I approached it. I think what happens here, you know, look, Mercyhurst moves up from D2 a year ago. They're trying to figure things out. I want chaos. So I want to see in the NEC, I want to see an ineligible team push down the stretch and maybe even win the damn thing so that they have to go into a play-in game, if you will. A play-in game for the play-in game. But the NEC is really slow-paced, defensive-oriented teams out there. And Mercyhurst, one of the slowest teams in the country. What they do really well is they manage the shot clock and then get good shots off. That's all you can say about it. They got a leading scorer averaging 17. They got triple guys in the double digits out there. And I like that kind of style. Now, LIU, probably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the conference for sure. You know, look, pretty much, I guess LIU loses, they're still in. Isn't that kind of how it works in this case? I don't know. I think it's a good game. I think we have a good slow, low tempo situation out there. We have the correlated line movement in our back pocket. And the only question I have is, can the Sharks go out there and just rip it up? Can they rip off, you know, 20-point run and just really embarrass a second year, almost a debutante when it comes to the NEC? I'm going to say no. I'm going to ride with a little Mercyhurst action here. And why not? You know, they've won 3 in a row in their own right. Both these teams, when it comes to head-to-head score, by the way, they both average 74 when they play, you know, in the old head-to-head position. So, by the way, Mercyhurst won. So a slow, low-tempo team just 2 weeks ago went out there and put up a 91-83 spot on these guys and got the win outright. So disrespectful to give them 5.5 points. I'll take the points in my back pocket. I'll kick it off with a little Mercyhurst action. And then, you know, we try to look at trends because they can be our friends. And, you know, whether it be for us or against us, it's just a situation where is it clean? And it is in this case here. I didn't really see much on either side of the ball. So to me, it's just a situation where I say, you know what? Let's go. Let's see a little chaos. Like I said, I guess the reality is in this case here, we don't see chaos in the sense of chaos, but I think it'd still be a pretty cool statement to see a second year team win the conference. And even though they're not eligible to go to the big dance, still find a way. By the way, shout out to Arizona State shutting down Baylor. That's the game that got me earlier today. And I'm mad at myself for it because I don't like Baylor. I like Arizona State. Peter Grasser says, yo, Mikey, let's cash. How much faith you put into the SRB report? Do you play those? I try to use all of the tools, not as a blind tail, as a weather vane. I want to see which way the wind is blowing. And then I want to see how the lines correlate. So if they're telling me that there's sharp respective betting action on there and I'm seeing it move against it, it's just another tool that I use, another weapon to try to chase the beast down, if you will. So I like to see what they're on, but what I found, Peter, is totals seem to struggle. But like in the NHL, dude, the sides won like 14 straight times after that Thanksgiving break. So, sometimes I can correlate it. Sometimes I can respect where they're coming from. Like tonight in the NHL, and I'll tell you about when it comes down to it. But, like last night, let me start there. They fade the Blackhawks because it's the Mammoth, and they're high on the Mammoth. They've been high on the Mammoth all season. But it was a big price tag, and I keep going back and forth, flip-flopping on the Mammoth. But there comes that total under 6.5, and it cashed. Tonight, they got a big dog. Sometimes I wonder, are they buying a price? And is it a letdown spot? And I'll come back and I'll reference it. I'll tease it like that. It's a great question. But nothing's just a blind tail. Sometimes it's got to line up with the capping. And then when you see it coming in, and what I like about it most is they don't just fire off like 60 plays. It's kind of honed into like, what's the number one spot that their respected bettors that they track are coming in on. And, look, nobody wins all the time. The best of the best wins 60% of the time. So it's probably a non-answer, but I'll try to answer it more as we talk about the NHL games that are coming up, if that's fair. It's a great question. I love the questions, you guys. Wake Forest, Virginia Tech rolls in here for our next game. And this is going to be a fun little spot here tonight. Look, middling teams in the ACC, fair to say. The line's coming in against Virginia Tech, despite the money coming in on Virginia Tech. So you got a -2.5, has moved to 1.5. 74% of the bets, 75% of the cash are coming in on the Wake Forest side. I'm sorry, on the Virginia Tech side of things, but yet the line is coming down. I like me some Vatek. I don't like me some Wake Forest. What Wake Forest does well is they've got a top 100 defense. But we like to zoom in, right? So you can look at the whole season and you can look at the body of work. And we're not trying to pick teams to go into the tournament. We're trying to pick spots that we think are going to get us paid. And yes, a top 100 team throughout the season. But if you dial it back into the last 2 months, in other words, second time around in conference play and now the tournaments, they're at 197 defensive efficiency, 328 in defensive turnover. That ain't good. These teams played. 6 players put double figures up. 20 assists to 5 turnovers, 82-63 win the last time they played. Vatek should be able to put the boot squarely between the cheeks of this Wake Forest team. And, 5 of Virginia Tech's 10 losses in conference were by 4 points or less. So they did bounce back in that revenge spot against Wake Forest. I like to see that out of a team out there, and I think that instilled some confidence. Their defense, by the way, top 50. Holding teams to 31% from 3. Defensive free throw rate of 27.5. So I like it. Plenty of guys that can pass the rock around. You see that with the assist numbers. I'm not saying they're going to look like the Globetrotters out there tonight, but I just don't see a path for Wake Forest. I mean, everybody would have, that's the problem when you've got a team with depth is everybody has to go cold. One bad shooter does not make a loss unless you are a one shooter heavy squad. And that is not the case for Virginia Tech. So I like the stumbling defense with the depth in offense and a team that's Second half of the year is better than the first half of the year, not the opposite way around. So give me some Virginia Tech action in my life. And if you want a little extra caveat, you want a little extra medicine to help it all go down, Virginia Tech. They like to play some points when you put them between the threes and a team that's averaging more than 44.5. So I like their team total over in this case as well. Just exploiting what's going on when it comes down to a suspect Wake Forest team. So give me some Virginia Tech in my life. You got it, Peter. Appreciate you, my dude. Thank you for being patient. I don't want to spoil it before I get a chance to get to it, if you know what I'm saying. If you're picking up what I'm putting down. Let's go here. I want to tell you guys about this story with this Santa Clara spot because, look, I had to go deal with a personal matter today in the middle of fucking nowhere in a place called Armpit, New York. I mean, Lancaster, New York. The only way to get to said position is to drive an hour west. Then after you get off the thruway, you have to drive, I don't know, 35 minutes at around, 35 miles an hour, 40 minutes, 35 miles. It sucks. It's a shithole. It's a shit place to get to. And so anyways, as I was driving home, leaving my appointment, turn left to get back onto Route 33, good old Genesee Street, cuts right through the heart of Buffalo. Some little shitbox from California cuts me off. Cuts me off. Had to swerve. Cuts me off. Wouldn't you know that this dude that cut me off had a license plate tag? You know those license plate tags that go around the license plate? This one said alumni of Santa Clara. Whoa. So as I'm driving 35 miles an hour for 35 minutes, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what do we got here? Am I really going to have to play on Santa Clara? And then I said, not so fast. I think Santa Clara did enough to get themselves an invite to the dance. They've had a tremendous season. You can see their track record. And they won yesterday against a gritty San Francisco team. It doesn't matter for Gonzaga, but 29th straight appearance in the West Coast Conference title game. They've won 11 of the last 13 championships. Now, you're going to say, but they're given 6.5 points, 5.5 points. They are 10-3 ATS in those 13 championship wins. 11 of those championships by an average of 14.8 points a game. This will be Santa Clara's first WCC title shot since 2007. So I'm going to take experience. I also think Santa Clara is in regardless at this point. So defensively, Gonzaga should lock them down. They ranked 8th. They rank 8th nationally. Am I stroking out here on screen? I can't seem to say that. They rank 8th nationally defensive efficiency. They only allow teams to score 66.3 points a game. So they gave an average of 64.9 points a game to league opponents in the WCC this year. Their defense is the best, some of the best in the country. And then they cut teams off at threes. Their success factor at defense from the three is less than 31% for their opponents. Only over 61.5 points. Not very often. You got to grind to score on this team out there. And then on the other side, I think Santa Clara, they rank 233rd in 2-point defense. The Zags are 18th in 2-point shooting percentage. So it's not just experience, which tells me it's going to be a Gonzaga spot. It's not just that sea sucker that cut me off, and then I had to spend 35 minutes driving 35 miles an hour looking at that alumni of Santa Clara. Almost got me. I'm going to tell you, it almost got me. I was looking at it. I was like, is this a sign? No, I don't think so. I think the better team prevails here on the Zog side of things. Mikey says, Jerry Davis says, Mikey L. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah. Well, because this is the championship game, and it doesn't matter if they win or lose, right? But that's just all the more reason, I think, for the dog to want to go out there and pop him in the mouth. Jerry Davis says you got Baylor -1.5, all kinds of CLV. Yeah. Baylor sucks, dude. And we talked about it like 2 months ago. It was like, Baylor sucks. And yet, here they go. Finding a way. Onward, upward. Not finding a way. They do suck. Eastern Washington is the play of the day for me here, and I'm going with them, boys. I'm riding that train. I mean, look at these guys. All they do is win. All we do is win. And you're putting them in the dog roll against an Idaho squad. Now, you got 59% of the bets and 74% of the cash coming in on Eastern Washington. It has moved them from a -1.5 to a +1.5. So they are ping pong. But I don't get it. We talked about the dominance that Eastern Washington has showed. They took down Weber yesterday. It's almost an immediate bounce back revenge spot. Because they did leave the season, which, by the way, could it have mattered any less? Their position was already shored up in the conference. They just came off of a rip of a winning streak. They won, 9 games? They covered 8 of them? Then they lose the last game of the season to Idaho. So they had Weber State on deck last night. They handled their business at Weber State, and now they've got Idaho. Now, Idaho has won 4 of their last 5 games as well. Got to respect them. They're covering machines on top of it. But to go from a favorite to a dog, I believe has only to do with the fact that the public's looking at this squad saying, well, they just lost to them. But if we can dismiss it, we have to give it some, we have to just reevaluate or reapproach the cap. And that's what I think I can do here. This is the late night special. It is in Boise. It is at Idaho Central Arena. So yeah, a bit of a home courtage for this Idaho squad, but Eastern Washington is 12-7 against the spread on the road. Plenty of good news and plenty of reason to want to get involved when it comes down to it. So give me Eastern Washington to finish off the college basketball component of the day. Big Crypto says, I like Santa Clara with the points they have, about a 20% chance of winning. Peter Grassi says, what a coincidence, means go Gonzo. I guess we're going to find out. We'll know tomorrow. Did it mean to play? I mean, it kind of felt like to me it means to play on Santa Clara. But that's right, Nasty Nate. It's the late night special. Shining light on me. Let's move to the NHL. I love the NHL slate tonight. It is just loaded for bear. I'm going to add a spot. It is going to come off the Sharp Respected Betting Report, and I get it. So to this conversation that we had earlier about whether or not, how much credence do you put into the Sharp Respected Betting Report? I think when it comes to sports like, first of all, the WNBA and the NHL. Now, this goes before the craziness that was the Olympics, right? So I think that the hockey has picked up in betting excitement from a public perspective. Four Nations drew a lot of people in. They got really jacked up about it. And then the Olympics this year, with especially Team USA, going hog, got everybody jacked up. So I don't know that I agree to the same level, but it used to be measured, and it was the WNBA and the NHL got similar betting handles. And it was mostly sharp bettors that were spotting and betting these plays. And so what I know about some sharp bettors is that they just tend to buy prices, right? They don't really care about team A. It's a matter of fact, it's team A versus team B. They take the jerseys off the front or the logos off the front, and they just kind of look at it purely through a dollars and cents perspective. And in this case, the number one spot, and we'll talk about the Sharp Respected Betting Report at the end of the show as a closing thought, but it makes sense to me. The Buffalo Sabres opened at -205. They're down to 195. They just had probably the best NHL game I've seen since, I've seen some great playoff games here, but that fucking game was on steroids, man. And you gotta like what's going on here. The hottest team in the NHL, though, are the Buffalo Sabres. To me, they're beat in. And it's kind of like when a team gets ranked nationally for the first time. This is the first time since NHL realignment where the Buffalo Sabres entered the Atlantic Division, and they are now a first place team in the Atlantic after November for the first time in Sabres season history. Now, they've won 13 of their last 16. They've won them all in regulation. So, what does Joe Public think? Joe Public thinks, shit, this is the hottest team in hockey. You know what I'll do? Rather than laying $2, I'll just take them to win in regulation. We know that's fundamentally flawed thinking because guess what? Look at Utah last night. $2.25 favorites. We'll just take them to win in regulation. They fucking lose to the Blackhawks in overtime. Blackhawks and the Sharks feel like they're about the same type of team to me. If anything, I'd probably give a little bit of an edge to the Sharks. And so that long, drawn-out harbor boat tour where we cruised around the island pointing out all the fun little sights, to me says the Sharps are betting the Sharks, and I see why. Furthermore, I get down with the fact that, oh, yeah, let's just take them to win in regulation. It's minus 135. This is the exact fit of the game last night with the Utah and Chicago spot, with the exception that Buffalo's the home team. So, that being said, how do you want to play? The Sharps are on this spot. And so I kind of look at it as a more drawn out way to say, can I understand where they're coming from? Right? And if so, again, not just the end all be all, but now let's factor in that monster 8-7 win against was it 8-7? I think it was against the Tampa Bay Lightning the other day. That was for the Battle of the Atlantic. And Sabres won. So the funny part to me when it comes to Buffalo is they just talked about how UPL and was it Lyon? These two guys are like number 1 and number 2 in goalie save percentage since like November. And then what do we see last game? Absolute shitting of the bed against a Tampa Bay Lightning team that's been drained out and depleted by injury. I don't like Yaroslav Askarov with a 3.52 goals against average, but I just think this is a tough spot for the Buffalo Sabres to get excited about. You know, it's a big spot for Macklem Celebrini. He's coming in as a chance. Actually, you know what? They just moved it to Alex Lyon. Literally, that makes sense now. The problem is that the Sharks aren't scoring many goals. Askarov has played well, though, in his last 32 saves, 2-1 overtime loss to the Islanders. So the kid can go out there and do it. Problem is the Sabres have scored 3 or more goals in 6 consecutive games. So what do the Sharks know? Or what do the Sharps know? And the fact is the Sharks have scored 2 or fewer goals in 3 of their last 4, but they're 2-0-2 in those games. So they are professionally grinding right now. And then, you know, last but not least, this is an interconference rivalry, not rivalry, but an interconference game. East Coast, West Coast. Well, that doesn't matter for the Sabres because they got the Capitals on Thursday and they got the Maple Leafs on Saturday. I already gave the Maple Leafs to win on Saturday. So I could fade Buffalo in this case. That's my long drawn out explanation of how I would look at leveraging the Sharp report. Because again, they did have the number 1 spot on the squad, the San Jose Sharks, and I get it at plus 1. You know, it's like I said to you guys on Saturday. I liked the Flyers. They were plus 145. I liked Toronto at plus, what were they? 175 or 180, something like that. And then the Calgary Flames were like 175, 180. And I said, if we win 2 of these 3, we're going to be up over 2 units on the day, which is important, right? Because at minus 110s and minus 120s, you could go 2-1 and end up a half a unit. So I think that's the way the Sharp mindset approaches the NHL. Now, as far as the NBA and college basketball, I fucking no. I just want to see where they're at. I just wanted to light up my dashboard like critical notice if it comes down to it. So anyhow, long drawn out way of saying I'm adding the San Jose Sharks to the board. I'm going to go into the Columbus Blue Jackets and Tampa Bay game. I kind of gave you guys a little foreshadowing in this one. I'm not super keen on Tampa Bay right now. I get it. And everybody says they're going to win the Eastern Conference. And I mean, sure, you got to show it to me first. I think Tampa's capable of laying a dud. Now, metrics, pricing, everything will tell you I'm crazy. I'm smoking the Seattle Kraken. But it's the way I look at the game. It's the way I kind of approach the game. And I think that all the reason in the world to want to jump in on Tampa, with the exception of the fact that they just had the Battle of the Atlantic. They put their all out there, physical and emotional and mental drain. All big, real things. Now it's Mercyhurst and Vasilevsky. So got to give the edge to the Tampa Bay in that case. But, since the Olympic break, Tampa's come out pretty flat. 2-3 in their last 5. 5.17 goals against average. Not a good spot for Vasilevsky coming in here off his last couple of games. So, look, I think it's a good shot to fade these boys. Columbus Blue Jackets have lost 4 of 7 since the break themselves, but they're 3-1-3, so they're still grinding, picking up points along the way. That being said, the way that I really want to approach this game has to do more with the $2 price tag. It's just too good a price to pass up. With the thought process being, if I take the Sharks and I take the Blue Jackets and one of them win, I'm positive. I'm not 500. I'm positive. And, sometimes that's a shit way to approach capping the games here, because it's kind of like, if you read between the lines, it's kind of saying like, well, I expect to lose. No, I don't expect to lose. But I see that Tampa Bay comes in at 255. I don't think in the situation, time and place off the travel spot against Buffalo, they should be laying $2.50, especially with their goaltender showing that he's average at best right now. And then on the same side of things here, 92% of the bets, the public is number one spot they're smashing today, Tampa Bay and Buffalo. But 72% of the cash came in on the Columbus Blue Jackets. So, look, I'll fade the public in that position every day of the week, twice on Sunday if it comes down to it. And I'll live bet the shit out of it on top of it. So Kelly V always dropping great insights. Says Tampa Bay, 2 defensemen out, including Radish, whose father just died. There you go. Big Crypto likes the Buffalo Sabres to win tonight. Gets their 86 in Gematria. Sharks equals 86. Gematria? Is that how you say it? Is Gematria? Look, I like it. I don't mind tipping into the occult to see what's coming up on them cards out there. I know somebody who doesn't like it, but that's neither here nor there. So, listen, I'm going to take a shot, though. I'm going to go with the Sharps. I'm going to take the Sharks as the ad. I'm going to jump in on Columbus. I'm going to get into this Florida Panthers game. Let me see what I got. Sometimes I get going, guys. I get so much passion and energy, despite this show's like a cup of coffee for me, or like a straight fucking 8-ball to the head. I just get fired up, man. I get jacked up. The heart starts pumping. I get so excited as we get closer to puck drop and everything else that goes along with it. I'm going to take the under in this Red Wings game here. I'll move the pace along a little bit for you guys here, because I appreciate you being here. I respect your time, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to get back and ready to attack and do whatever it is you need to do this evening. Johnny Gibson and Danny Tarasov taking the twine for these boys out there. And this one, to me, I'll just simplify this one. Neither one of these teams are fucking scoring right now. Period. Exclamation point. Underlined, highlighted, and paraphrased into a tweet that's been gone viral on Twitter. These guys can't score. And I think that this is one of those spots where you see. Now listen, Florida Panthers, God bless them, back-to-back cups, championship game, like 4 straight seasons. I mean, it was ridiculous. Okay. They did have a big win, but they're still not averaging goals. Now the Red Wings are a defensive-oriented hockey team. Over the last 10 games, they've allowed just 1.9 even strength goals per game. They've also only scored 1. per game in those spots. Now that's 5-on-5. So power plays and penalty kills aside, special teams aside. Now you take Dylan Larkin out of the Detroit Red Wings offense. That's a big factor. They've gone under in 4 of 6 games since the Olympic break. See, now we're starting to accumulate some data. This is a really great time for the NHL because we got, 20 games left. We're a 6-pack past the All-Star break. It gives us a really good chance to see who these teams are right now. And look, on top of that, Florida's averaging 1 goal a game on the 5-on-5 as well. So they are giving up 2.3 goals allowed. Does give an edge to the Detroit Red Wings, but I'm going to take the under 6 in a Florida Panthers game. It's not a Thursday. I wish it was, but I'll take the under 6 in this game. And then I'll bring you guys home. Bring it on home to me. Yeah. Yeah. Kelly B says it's Buffalo's 600th game. They just played. Florida 1-3-1. Detroit wins or loses whenever Gibson's in net. Well, yeah. They can't tie. Kelly V, you know that. All right, the Calgary Flames and the New York Rangers. We're going to pop off here to finish things off at the Garden. Status quo. Fading the Flames. I know it's ugly to look at this Rangers team who's shown us that they're selling, but so have the Calgary Flames. And if anything, the problem with the Flames is they're still defensively depleted. Dustin Wolf should get the start. Jonathan Quick on the other side of things. Both these guys are having meh. Remember that Kalshi meh commercial? Look, 8 goals on 46 shots over his last 2 games for Dustin Wolf. That ain't going to get it done. And, I don't want to play it by their due factor, but the Rangers played so poorly to start the season off at Madison Square Garden that you got to think some things are likely to have the pendulum shift the other way. I'd rather say shifting pendulum than they're due. Tail end of a back-to-back, so Jonathan Quick gets the start. He allowed 5 goals on 34 shots in his last game as well, but that was against the Devils team. So Calgary Flames team that, look, what the fuck happened yesterday? I don't want to use yesterday to cap it in a little bubble. They let it up 3-0 to start the game. They tie up 3-3. They still lose 7-3. The problem was Washington gave up 2 shorthanded goals. So Washington effectively put the boot to the ass of the Calgary Flames. And now you're on the second leg of a back-to-back after an emotional heartbreaker. I think this Flames team is toast. I want to get in on the Rangers business. Also, from a New York Rangers perspective, tired home favorites. This is that second leg of a back-to-back. They get themselves a 12-1 streak, having won 11 in a row. Teams on the second leg of a back-to-back, the home favorite, a team against the other division. Couldn't be any cleaner, more crisp, more ready to roll in recent form. I'll take the New York Rangers. As if the breakdown of my thought process on the game wasn't enough. Yeah, I'll add them boys to it. What I got to do a better job of is writing down the game start time, not the end time. 44.5 minutes. We're at player props. Make the bookies tops pop. And we might start calling it. We might go back to the old prop shop, the name that we had for the NHL. We'll see. Or for the NFL show that my guy LJ from H-Town and, of course, our guy, number 1 scumbag out of Canada, Penny Bombs, were involved with out there. We'll see if we go back to it. But I've got 2 player props for you guys here this evening. I might as well start off. And it's not really a game that, look, bottom line, I'm looking at Clayton Keller. Utah Mammoth, tricky spot. Wanted to get a little Utah Mammoth action going here. I think I'll probably end up fading them overall. One of the other plays that I was going to add, let me take a look at the price tag. See, if I'm adding games, yeah, this one's come way down. I don't like Utah in this case. I think Minnesota Wild run roughshod on these boys for a couple of reasons. One, I like the Gustafsson over Vejmelka edge. Gustafson's been on absolute fire. Had a big 4-2 win over Vegas. We know Vegas is a little cold and skittish right now. But damn, if Gustafson's not coming back hot from the All-Star break. 152 goals against average, 95.2% save percentage, 3-1 revenge opportunity for the Minnesota Wild. They just played a week ago, lost 5-2. That being said, I'm going to go to Clayton Keller. Clayton Keller to score a goal is priced around plus 250. Criteria, top line, number one spot out there, number one power play out there, even has a tendency to get himself a little special teams penalty kill time out there. So I like me a little Clayton Keller action. I don't think Utah wins this game. But I don't think it's his 1-0 type of finish. The guy's averaging 18 minutes a game. Second highest on offense by a 5-pack of minutes to Nicky Schmaltz, his centerman. He's got 3 goals, 11 assists, 26 shots on goal. He's leading the way in shots on goal over his last 10 games, and he's got 4 power play points. So I like Clayton Keller tonight at the plus 250. Now, we cashed last night with Tommy Wilson. Plus 210. Let's see if we can do it again with our guy in the player prop shop. We got ourselves some Clayton Keller for the Utah Mammoth. I'm going to move over on the other side of things. I'm going to go to the NBA. I seem to like to do a little 1-1 action. In the NBA for player props, the prop shop. Try to make the bookies' panties drop. I'm looking at this Lakers game. We'll talk about the side because I do have a play in the side for you guys to finish off the NBA segment of the show. But I'm looking at Jaden McDaniels. We got a lot of moving parts with both these teams from an injury perspective. Julius Randle, for me, he's just not the guy right now. Look, LA struggles defensively. McDaniels averaging 20 points a game against them. And they're going to set his number at 13.5. Just seems a little blatantly disrespectful. He put up 20 and 16 in consecutive starts to bring out the month of March. Now, Randall averaged 29.5 points per game. I wouldn't be mad at you wanting to go with some Julius Randle. I just think it's a much better edge from a average production in McDaniels against where the number's being set at. It's like 6 points too low for my projection. So I'll go with player prop number 2, Jaden McDaniels, over 13.5 points. What say you guys? Any player props you guys like out there? As we roll on, 48-53, the Pistons taking on the Nets. Nets came off a shocking win yesterday. Now, we know our guy, Big Crypto, had it. He shared it with us. He told us. And congratulations. But I think this line's a little tricky. Okay. Tricky in the fact that you're sitting on a 14.5. The Nets beat the Pistons as a 13-point dog on the road. Recent form. Not only that, but they won again yesterday as a dog. So now you're putting a revenge-minded Pistons team up against a Brooklyn Nets team. And the math ain't mathing for me. How do you have Brooklyn, who's, on the road? Detroit comes in with a 4-game losing streak. Lost to them already just a couple days ago, and now they're saying it's 14.5 points. Road team, losing streak, revenge game, 7 straight winners. That's why we look to isolate some of these spots out there. It's scary, and it's screaming to you. Detroit Pistons game. And I'm listening. Pistons? Yeah, okay. I'm on it. And that's it. I don't see any reason. Heavy favorites in the revenge are 103 and 63 over 29 years. I just don't see how the Brooklyn Nets do it again. And if they do, and I lose 14.5 points, I'll say, damn it, why did I lay all those points? But I just don't think it's a situation that I mean, look, if they gave the Nets genuine concern, the line would be maybe like 6.5 or 4.5. But 14.5 tells you everything you need to know. It's a Piston spot. The Suns and the Bucks. Here's a surprising. Look, we see these guys. The Suns coming in, I don't know, inconsistent. The Bucks. Sometimes I think the Bucks just look fully checked out. I don't know if that's fair. It's my opinion. 58% of the bets, 58% of the cash have come in on the Phoenix Suns. The Bucks are sitting there as 1.5 point dogs. It hasn't moved. Now, I'm not telling you that I want to get in the Phoenix Suns business, but I am telling you I want to get into the under business. If the Bucks allowed 124 more points this season, the under has cashed 13 straight times. Every single time they've come off of a shit defensive performance, they have bounced back to the under. And look, they just let Orlando put 130 pack on them. Doesn't get any higher than that. The Suns on the other hand, 111 against Charlotte, 118 against the Pelicans, 103 against the Bulls. I mean, they're kind of averaging that 110 spot. So it's scary, but I got to ride this season. The Bucks have shown us that after an implosion on defense, they fire back and get her done. As we go to the last game, it's the Timberwolves and the Lakers. Kelly V says GF can't do it alone. That's the problem. Appreciate you guys being patient while I try to figure out a better way to write down timestamps. But I know a lot of you guys have messaged me saying that you appreciate them after the fact. And for that reason, I will keep them rolling. Now, listen, we talked about the Lakers in the dog spot there. They lost 12 straight times before upsetting the New York Knicks the other night. And they had no LBJ. So kind of an issue, to say the least. Again, we have a revenge situation going on for the Timberwolves here, having lost the last time they played the Lakers. Lakers back in the dog roll. Good enough. I don't need to get more creative behind it here. I think the fact that this is a 2.5 point spread makes me comfortable taking the Timberwolves. And maybe for that reason, it's the wrong spot. Team that lost its last game, favored. Opponent won their last spot out there. Kind of the weird little trick spot in the NBA. Have gone 151-60 over the last 4 years. Cash 6 straight times this season. That says Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm good with it. I'm good with the Timberwolves. Fade the Lakers. Doesn't take much for me to fade the Lakers. Big Crypto says, in the NBA today, I like the Philadelphia 76ers money line and the San Antonio Spurs money line. Sixers aren't playing anybody, are they? If I recall, the entire team is out. That's the way I want to get down, you guys. That's it. That's the NBA. Let's talk some sharp, respected betting while we've got a few moments left on the card. Hope you guys enjoy it. I talked to you. Really good conversation, I think, today. I hope you guys think it was a good conversation. I'm not conceited and arrogant to that degree where I can say, it was a really good conversation that I had with you guys about the sharpers. I think it was just some good opportunity to clarify and expunge on what we do and how I look at this sharp respected betting report. Overnight markets came in for I probably should get these out sooner if I can. But anyways, in the end, in the college hoops arena, Missouri State, the number one spot from a sharp action and respected betting analysis today. Missouri State taking on Florida International. Lines moved from -1.5 to +1.5. So despite the sharps coming in, +1.5. More attractive to bet Missouri State. Oak State and Colorado. A late night special in its own right. The under 163.5. I like that spot quite a bit. I don't see how Oak State keeps up. I know it's how Oak State hangs in that game. Let's talk about the NBA. They got the Pacers +3. They've got the Charlotte Hornets and Portland under 227.5. Again, they typically give us one side and one total. That being said, the NBA numbers are probably pretty sharp tonight. I think those are some really good looks. I like all the sharp perspective betting tonight. Going into the NHL. The NHL has been by far, it's been the hottest SRB tool that we have. We ripped off 12, 13, 14 straight wins after Thanksgiving. Or I think we did it going into Thanksgiving and then coming out of Thanksgiving. But anyways, every tool is only as good as the person who sharpens that sword. Tip of the spear always has to be sharp, though. So that's why we want to keep some of this information. Number 1 spot, the San Jose Sharks. They got 3 of them today in the NHL. Number 2 spot, the Boston Bruins. Number 3 spot, the Nashville Predators. Kind of surprised me a little bit when you look at that game. A little in-depth profile from an NHL perspective. The Nashville Predators taking on the Seattle Kraken. Now, if you want me to correlate it for you, it went from minus 118 down to minus 110 on the Kraken. 72% of the bets came in on the Kraken. Only 60% of the cash. I know it's still a big number, but there is a delta. There is a differential that does show Predators. So there is some correlated movement as it relates to the SRB report. The last spot that I added, I told you guys I was going to add one more, and let me finish this first. Let me finish this thought. The Detroit and Florida over 5.5. That's the other spot, over 5.5. I'm on the under. I told you why. I'm on the under. I mean, sometimes it's art, sometimes it's science, sometimes it's just who's fucking scoring 6 goals in that game. Man, Detroit's one of those most let down teams in the NHL when it comes to scoring expectation against actual production. So the third spot I'm going to add, and I think this is probably a little bit of that sharp symmetry or sharp logic around it. I'm going to add the Edmonton Oilers to beat the Colorado Avalanche. I know they're back in ball, and look, they just came off a big win against Dallas. It was a great game as well in its own right. Edmonton's been really struggling at then some, but this line's coming down against a $1.94 favorite, all the way down to $1.63 on Kalshi for Colorado Avalanche. And the Edmonton Oilers rolling in here. They open up as a plus 160. There's a 156, a 155, a 152, a 145. The money's coming in. I think Edmonton gets back on the shtick here. Finds a way to go out there and produce some results against an Avalanche team that just had, I'm going to say it was their biggest win of the season. Well, their biggest win of the season was against Dallas. They won again against Minnesota 2 nights ago. So I'll give them that as well. I mean, they're playing the good teams. I expect Dallas and Minnesota to be right there at the end. I also think LA is going to be there at the end. Slip that one back. So 3 other, and then there's Anaheim. They're beating all these teams. But I think this Edmonton team, cagey little Edmonton spot to go on the road here tonight, where they play their better puck. I mean, ATS numbers, right? Puck line numbers, 15 and 18, 9 and 22 at home. They're playing better, tighter games, and we've seen Colorado leave some one-spotters out there. Now, the thought process is we're taking a plus 160 in Edmonton. We're taking a plus 170 in San Jose. And what was the other one? Plus 205 in Blue Jackets. They all win. We're up like 5.5 units after a 3-0. If only 2 of them win, we should still be up over 3 units. I think that's the way that the sharp mindset attacks the NHL. And everybody can agree to disagree. That's just my perception and how I want to get after it. But there's a bunch of added plays for you guys. I appreciate everybody that tuned in here this evening. If you're catching us on the replay, make sure you smash the thumbs up button. Taylor Fade, let me know. Leave a comment in the comments post-show. I know several of you do. I appreciate them. I try to respond to every one of them personally myself. Let's have ourselves a blowout banger of an evening, you guys. We have a ton of games. Have fun watching, betting the action. And again, see you guys back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. for Pregaming, the Sports Money Network. I'm your boy, Mikey Money. Good luck, good action. Get paid, baby.